Oh, hello. Welcome to Volume 9 of Ask a Brit. Although technically, I suppose this would be Volume 10, because last week we tried to go live with Volume 9 and it didn't really work because YouTube wasn't being a team player. I was perfectly ready for it to happen. The live stream didn't work. I tried about 10 times. I hope nobody got notifications 10 times, because that would have been rather insulting to your patience. But we did try it, and thankfully a lot of us were able to hold a chat there in the chat pane at the side of the video, but it wasn't the same. So we're going to revert then back to the former format. Try saying that after a few whiskies, believe me, I've tried. If you do have a question, put it in the comments below and use this hashtag right here, and I'll be able to answer you, won't I? So that's good. The first question today comes from Sabina, who asks, what do you think about Scotland? Is it worth moving there, if only because the first diploma is free? You know what, Sabina, I never even knew that. That's amazing. If that is indeed the case, you can't put a price on education, though a lot of people have tried. So if you can get a free diploma, go for it. And other than that, Scotland is a rather marvellous place anyway. Well, I don't know if you've checked out Edinburgh, but it's a fabulous city. I went there in 2006, actually, as part of the Edinburgh Fringe. I was in an ensemble cast of actors, and it was really fun. The place itself is magnificent. It's got a great history to it, and I would highly recommend going there, unless you've got bad knees. There's quite an incline there to get to the castle on top of the hill, though if you've had whiskey, lots of it, that rather subdues the pain, so highly recommend it. And Scotland, of course, is the place to do that. So I can't really speak to the rest of Scotland, you know, having not really been there, but if you do get this compulsion to do so, I would highly recommend it based on just visual evidence. It looks rather marvellous, doesn't it? Very green, very lake-laden. Again, say that after 12 whiskies. I've tried that too. And of course, what could be better than Scottish people? So probably English people. No, I'm not starting that war again, like in Braveheart. All right, speaking of Scottish, this name sounds rather Scottish. Patty McCain, hi. Do you have any Scottish or Irish history in your family? I'm guessing you do. But Patty asks, what actor would play you in a movie about your life? Well, since we're on the subject of Scottish people, probably David Tennant, right? He has the stubble, he has the brown hair, you know, he's a Brit like myself. He has legions of female fans like Benedict Cumberbatch, and I can rather see him embodying me in every way imaginable. Not every way, don't imagine it too hard. Not hard, don't think of the word hard. This is all wrong. David Tennant is the answer. He's also the answer to a question that's coming up later. All right, Robin Peterson, you're up next. And your question, I think you've asked it before, so apologies that I didn't get to it the first time, but hey, second time's the charm. That's not usually the phrase. But what foods do you miss from England that you can't find here? Yorkshire puddings. My wife actually makes a mean Yorkshire pudding, and when I say mean, I mean mean, very mean. It's so mean that when I open the box, right, and there's one Yorkshire pudding left, it looks at me like this. You're gonna die, Lawrence, you're gonna die. Which, in truth, if I eat too many of them, he's probably right. I don't know why he's a he could easily be a woman. I swear to this day, I squeezed it a little bit and it spat at me. I am still talking about the Yorkshire pudding. I love this next question. It comes from Mark Carnicelli, and Mark asks, have you ever considered doing an ancestry search to see if any of your ancestors may have emigrated to America long ago? It's so funny you should ask that. So about 15 years ago, my brother did a study into this. He actually looked back into my family history going way back and found out that I was related in many ways to Jesus. That last part's not true, but my brother did do this search, and he found that we had there was like a part of our lineage that moved over to the United States, specifically Utah. They were Mormons moving over to Utah in the infancy of Mormonism. Their names were, at least one of them is called George Enderby, right, I believe. And funnily enough, my best friend in Grimsby at that time was also called Enderby. It was like it's not a very common last name. So I took it upon myself to ask my friend, this was a very, very hard task, clearly, over a game of Scrabble, right? We did this a lot in the past. I sat down over a game of Scrabble. We each had a bottle of wine, and halfway through, both the bottle and the game, I asked, has there ever been a George Enderby in your family? To which he replied, Yes, he was my great 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 grandfather. And to that I said, well, that's amazing, because I actually had a George Enderby in my family who was my great 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 cousin, twice removed, I think, making that up. I don't know anything about how that sort of hierarchy works, but and then I said, well, what happened to him? Oh, he moved to Utah. Oh my gosh, we are related. Can we still be friends? Now that we know we're related and that we are cousins 229 times removed, is it even possible for us to have this game of Scrabble in the same light that we used to have it, which was just two gents that met each other at school and shared a commonality of friendship that cannot go beyond the boundaries of friendship and into family? And it went into family, and now I feel rather perverse and dirty, and I don't know why. To which he roundly defeated me by putting down the word vexation, and I've never forgiven him for that. We haven't spoken since. All right, you people were on fire this week because your questions have been excellent, and none more so than the next two, in fact, from Firecracker3240, who asks, are you going to give us a tour of your new home? Well, yes, I am, and as you can probably see, I'm not in my new home right now. Well, you may not know that because you've not seen it yet, but this is not it. I'm just squatting for the week in Indiana. I'm not squatting, this is my in-laws' house. I'm just up here for the week, as I said, but yeah, I will give you a tour of it. It's going to be amazing, but it won't be a live run as I'd hoped. I don't think that there's too many complications when you go live. The feed, for example, might not work, or your cat might do a shit on the floor in front of you. Actually, that's good for ratings. Maybe I should consider that. But yeah, I'll do an amazing tour. You're going to be absolutely blown away by both wings of my 450 square foot apartment. So that should be great. That's coming up soon, so look out for that. And Firecracker3240 also asks, aside from visiting all 50 states, is there anything else you really want to accomplish before a certain point in your life? So this is crazy, right? Again, I would say it was about 15 years ago, at the same time that the George Enderby thing came to light. I was also masterminding my own personal bucket list at that time. Among the items on the list were visit all 50 states. I mean, that's been there since I was a child, perhaps. But I had these other sort of really outlandish ones. One was to publish a book in my lifetime, if not more, but I do want to get to this point where I am a published author. My brother's achieved it. You can actually check out a lot of his books. He does this series called Everything You Know About is Wrong. So he did a book called Everything You Know About London is Wrong, Everything You Know About Science is Wrong. Check them out. Matt Brown. He's also the editor of Londonist.com, or at least was the editor at large of Londonist.com. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but I want to sort of do that, is write a book. Another thing on the bucket list, this is silly, was for one day, I just want to get to this point where I grow my hair really long, I go to the hairdressers, and I have them cut the sides off right, and a lot of the top, but leave a mullet, right, and just photograph that. Just to say, for a moment there, I had a mullet and looked like a 1980s wrestler, even with the muscles and the pink leotards. And then there was another kind of ambitious one, I suppose. One day I want to go into space, and this always sounded stupid. I'm not an astronaut. I don't work for NASA. We're living in an age where space tourism is very much in its infancy and could see the light of day within my lifetime. So I am holding that one still true to be part of my bucket list. But it might have to wait until A, I have enough money to buy a ticket, and B, there are actually tickets up for purchase. All right, next question comes from Burley Hawk, that's a great name, who says, how does one become a Sir? Who decides when someone deserves the title? Does the title still carry the same weight as it once did for the people of Britain? That's a very good question. I think it's mostly done by a committee. I think that, as far as I'm aware, there's sort of a committee, and then there's a nomination process, and then all kind of rigorous activity that goes on, and then the Queen gets out her sword, chops off the head of the... No, that doesn't happen. It's on the shoulders. And then that person is knighted, male or female, because, if the female version, Judi Dench, for example, Maggie Smith, becomes a dame. So they are knighted too. All right, next question comes from IB Stevie B. I don't know how I'm doing that voice. But IB Stevie B asked, shops in the UK have their eggs sitting out on the shelves at room temperature. Shops in the US have their eggs in the refrigerator. Why, oh, why? I think it's to do with the way in which they're preserved, though I can't really speak to the science behind that. But I think we sort of preserve them in some sort of, I don't know, protective coating, perhaps, that we put on them after we pull them out of the chickens. We don't pull them out of the chickens, they just fall out. But I will tell you this, that it is perfectly safe, because I ate about 4,000 eggs when I lived in the UK. In one day, I was the Eggmaster. Eggmeister General Lawrence Brown. They don't call me that for nothing. You know, they don't call me that at all nowadays. Sean Rankin asks, who is your favourite doctor? See what he did there? He had the word who in there and it ended with doctor. I notice it. It's the answer to that question earlier on as well. David Tennant is still my favourite doctor, though Capaldi is up there now. I'm not so keen on Capaldi's stories pound for pound, but his portrayal of the Doctor is quite exquisite, if exquisite is the right word. I don't think it is. I think sexy is also incorrect. Monumentally good is pretty apt. Susie Q asks, you never learned to drive in the UK. Didn't they teach you driver's ed in high school? I live in Southern California where everything is so spread out, so we can't survive without cars. Well, that's exactly it. You know, California is so spread out, and the US as a whole is so spread out. But the United Kingdom, while still somewhat spread out to some extent, is rather interconnected with trains right across the country. So if I wanted to do the long distance travel, as I aim to do in the US, I could do most of it actually by using a combination of trains and buses. And then when you want to talk about the local level where you live, I could just mostly get around on buses. I mean, it wasn't a problem, or walk. Depending on the town or city I lived in. There'd be occasional issues, you know, where I'm trying to get to a pub in the middle of nowhere. Then, you know, maybe somebody would have to give me a ride, or I'd hitchhike. I was kidnapped once and accidentally taken to the place I was trying to get to. So, you know, joke's on them. That didn't happen. I just thought I'd try to illuminate this story a bit more with a lie. Yeah, I really just didn't need one. Okay, and on the subject of transportation, and specifically public transportation and trains, Adam Williams says, how does Amtrak compare to British railroad operators? I think for the most part it compares unfavourably, if I'm truly honest. But I think it depends on your motivation. I mean, a lot of the reason now that I ride Amtrak is to get some very beautiful moving shots that I can use in my Finding America series. I started doing this for the St. Louis video. I was able to get some magnificent shots of the arch because the train moves at such snail's pace that it's not bumping around as much. You know, it does bump a little bit when you're going fast, but those fast moments on Amtrak feel quite rare. And that's why it takes, you know, 6 hours to get to Indianapolis instead of 2.5 from Chicago. So there is that. If you're trying to get to somewhere quite expediently, Amtrak is not your man, woman, person. It's a train. I'm not personifying a train again. Thomas the Tank Engine did that. And in fact, Thomas the Tank Engine probably went faster than Amtrak. Okay, and so sticking to this subject actually of cross-country travel, you see how all of these are interconnected? The questions, not the country's transit system. That would be nice. But 50 Beyond asks, so Lawrence, are you ever going to bicycle across America with the missus? So funny you should ask that. We have long talked about it. I had a friend who did it. She went from, I think it was North Carolina, all the way up to Washington State, taking a kind of bendy route as well. So it wasn't just a straight line. So you're talking, 4,000 plus miles at that point. And it is something that I would love to do, genuinely, I think. Even with my knee issue, which I overplay the knee issue for comedic effect, right? But I could cycle with it and it'd be fine. And I don't know, it would be amazing. My only concern would be, what if we got caught up in a thunderstorm in the middle of Colorado with no house for 5 miles? I would definitely do it. I need to buy one of those helmet GoPro things for my head, but that'd be a great way to film the US, wouldn't it? It'd be the slowest way, perhaps, to get to all 50 states, other than walking or running. Running, for me, would be slower than walking, because I'd get 10 meters and then have to stop for an hour each time. All right, and this is our final question, and again, it is related to transport. This has been the transport episode. It comes from Holly Kleiss. Thank you for this question, Holly. And you ask, in one of your videos a while back, you mentioned that you loved the iconic yellow school buses and the fact that they were real as opposed to made up for the movies. That's true. I thought for the longest time that they were just fabricated for the movies, and there was kind of an idiosyncrasy of US films that just happened across film. It was great when I realized that they were real. But Holly wonders, how do children in the UK, especially in rural areas outside of towns and villages, get to school? Well, we do actually, for the most part, we do utilise a bus service for that very thing, unless, of course, you're located near to the school, in which case you either walk there or your parents throw you over a fence. Actually, I think that's probably been outlawed by now. My parents got away with it. They were the cut-off. But yeah, buses, I think, for the most part. I used to actually, in all honesty, catch a double-decker bus to my school. I don't know why I went high-pitch there. Maybe it's because thoughts of my school give me dread. Yeah, buses for the most part, I think. Yeah, but they're not yellow. They're not really the eye-catching aspect. If you saw them in a movie, you wouldn't go, that's a British bus. You know, you'd say that's vaguely European. Whereas America, I think of Superman. I think of Superman saving those kids who are about to go over into the Hudson River. I think it was the Hudson. It doesn't matter at this point. And how, if it had been any other bus or any other superhero, they may not have survived. And on that happy note, I will bid you adieu today. That was Ask a Brit Volume 9. Again, if you have a question for me, go ahead and ask it in the comments section below. Just remember, as I said earlier, to use the hashtag AskABrit. And keep following us here on Lost in the Pond's YouTube channel. You can do so by subscribing if you haven't already. Visit lostinthepond.com for more updates, and you can check out articles there. And if you want to help a guy fund production in all 50 states, you can do so by going to patreon.com/lostinthepond, where you can pledge any amount every month to help me achieve that. It is specifically for me to be able to take the travel series around the country. So we do appreciate all of the pledges we've received so far. Keep them coming. It's really helping us to see the world, and specifically all 50 states. But until next week's Ask a Brit, adieu, goodbye, just bye. See ya.